Hi, everyone. I'm Ananda, the Galactic Mystic, and this is Navigational Astrology. Let's talk about this Pisces new moon that I'm calling the Moon of Karmic Endings. A big warm hug to my subscriber family. Welcome back. If you are new here, pull up a seat, get cozy, and I hope you enjoy your stay. Consider subscribing. There's a little flower of life down in the corner if you like this content. On this channel, I talk about astrology, mysticism, folk magic, the leading edge of consciousness and conscious relationships, and following the natural cycles of the earth, of the stars, and of our lives. I have over 30 years experience doing this kind of stuff. It's always been a part of my life, and it is my absolute joy and honor to share it with you and to build this beautiful community. So this Pisces new moon is happening on March 2nd, 2022 at 12:34 p.m. That's 1234 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, there's really a ton to talk about here, and I'm really going to try and sort of simplify it because I really think that I could talk about this for a good 2 hours, and nobody's got time for that. So let me pull up the chart. But first, I want to read to you the Chandra symbol for this new moon. Now, the Chandra symbols were created by a wonderful mystic by the name of Ellias Lonsdale, and they are an intuitive interpretation of an astrological degree. So the concept is that each degree of the zodiac, there are 360, has a certain wavelength of energy. And Ellias Lonsdale used a lot of different sort of interpretations that had already been done, including the Sabian symbols, which you may have heard of. But Elias's work is really profound to me. I want to read this to you before we go any further. This is the inside degree, the Chandra symbol for Pisces 13. A woman imprisoned in a high tower. Sentenced to limbo, you are suspended from active participation in evolving worlds. Hung high and dry and massively resigned, following out an ancient fate to the end. Having operated insensitively, now being unable to do anything to anybody. You live infinitely alone, dreaming and drugged. Deep down inside, remembering everything dimly and darkly, self-circumscribed and very deprived. You live on memories and the ripples of mute desire to move on someday. Destined to transform this dread fate when the cycle is complete, you are until that time vacuum pressed and emotionally grief-stricken, nostalgic and raging, while not getting across and being muffled all-pervasively. This is a pretty powerful degree, and considering this new moon chart and what is happening in our world right now, I find it to be incredibly pertinent. It's this watching everything unfold around us and really not being able to do anything about it. So let's look at the chart. Okay, so here we have our sun-moon conjunction, our new moon at 12 degrees and 7 minutes of Pisces. It is conjunct the midheaven of this chart, as well as Jupiter, which is one of the rulers of Pisces. So this energy alone is an energy of great endings. Now, everything in astrology has a spectrum that it can, sort of manifest in any place on the spectrum of high and low. And a lot of these high and low manifestations can occur simultaneously. Now, if you look at this chart, you see how everything is in the upper half of the chart. So this speaks of what is happening in our world. And on a personal level, it does also speak to us as individuals, how we are reacting and interacting with all of this. So as I'm talking about this, there could be two different things going on. Your personal experience with the energies in your individual life, which is probably to some degree separated from the world stage. And then there's the world stage, the collective experience. So a Pisces new moon conjunct Jupiter. Jupiter makes it bigger, expands everything that is happening. We also have Neptune, the other ruler of Pisces. So both rulers of Pisces, all in Pisces, and, in close connection with one another. And then the new moon conjunct the midheaven, which is that point on the chart that holds the gravity of everything together. This is that very sensitive point of the chart. So when this moon is new, it's going to be in the highest place in the sky that it could be, according to the apparent trajectory that the sun follows across the sky. And I say apparent because we know that it isn't actually the sun going across the sky. It's the earth. But anyway, so this is all very powerful. Just this alone. So this, great endings, big, large amounts of unconditional love, illusions, karma, fantasy, solitude, spirituality, things that take us outside of ourselves, experiences and practices, ego death, all of this. It's very, very interesting to have this new moon at this time, because I'm actually recording this on Sunday, February 27th. Tomorrow, February 28th, is the last exact Neptune opposition of the United States. This is where the transiting Neptune is exactly opposing the United States Neptune. So this, if I bring this up, I'm going to bring this up so you can see it. So here, February 28th, 2022 at 11:47 p.m. This is Eastern time. This is transiting Neptune in exact opposition to the United States Neptune. This aspect, and of course we had well, let me talk about this first. This aspect is really powerful. Neptune does not get proper credit for the incredible amount of turmoil, change, sweeping drastic measures that he can bring into our lives. If you have lived through your Neptune square, you maybe know what I'm talking about. But this is an energy that is rife with the potential for really being misled, huge endings, ego death, actual death. Of course, we've lost a lot of lives through the pandemic, but this is still happening, this opposition. This also brings in issues of liquids, things like oil, floods, leaks of these types of things, issues with these types of things, and then the facing of our, this being slapped out of our comfort zones. This is a lot of burst bubbles, but I say the words burst bubbles and that sounds like a little thing, but like big burst bubbles, big, just kind of being slapped out of a stupor. And of course, like I said, the really high potential for the influence of con men, being conned, being tricked, being fooled. And of course, we had our Pluto return, which was on the 20th, not the 22nd. I don't know. Anyway. So this is happening right before this new moon. So other big news with this lunar cycle. First, let me say this entire lunar cycle, including the Virgo full moon, which will be our next full moon, is also just, this is just a really lot of uncomfortable energy. There's all the karmic players are involved here somehow. So let's talk about that. We've already talked about this. Now, if we look over here, we have Mercury and Saturn exactly conjunct each other at 19 degrees of Aquarius. This energy, the spectrum we're dealing with here is suppressed information, serious conversations, serious information. Mercury is all about how we process information, how it comes in, how it comes out of us. And Saturn is about dignity, maturity, limits, karma, lessons, hard work, things that take time. And so to have these two on top of each other, this is serious conversations or conversations being limited, being cut off. And these aspects or this conjunction, if we look over here, first of all, so here we have the sun down here and the moon. They are, of course, conjunct, but look at this. They are aspecting everything except for Neptune in some kind of way. Everything is talking to each other. Isn't that fascinating? Including this 1/16th harmonic aspect with this Mercury-Saturn conjunction. The 16th harmonic is a stressful harmonic. This is a stressful energy. It's Uranian. It's stressful, shocking, motivating, but anxious. It's an anxious energy. So this is stressful talks. Stressful talks in a stressful aspect with this karmic new moon. So let's keep moving over here. Look at this mess. We have Pluto, Mars, and Venus all at 27 degrees of Capricorn. Are you kidding me? And then we have Vesta very tightly conjunct at 26 degrees. Okay. So what's interesting here is that even though they are all at 27 degrees, Venus is technically on a little bit of a different level. And we might think, okay, yay, Venus, genus, I almost said genus. We're doing great. Venus, we might think, okay, she's going to bring this sweetness into this. But we need to remember that every single thing in astrology, every planet, every sign, every aspect, everything has a comfortable and a less comfortable potential in expression. Venus, where yes, she is the energy of love and beauty and creativity, but she is also the goddess ruling money, discernment, self-worth, and our values. And this is what she's bringing to this situation. This is happening in the 8th house of this new moon chart, the area of secrets, of transformation, of death, of power. And we have the two rulers of this house, Pluto and Mars, conjunct each other in Capricorn in this house. This is a very tense, karmic, active, psychologically messed up kind of potential energy. The good side is that whenever there is destruction, we know there is the potential for rebirth. But these so tense. So let's talk about this conjunction and where it is aspecting. The first thing that you can see is these blue lines here. This is a quincunx to the ascendant of this chart. Now, there's something really unique about new moons and full moons when it comes to the part of fortune and the part of spirit. The part of spirit is our highest spiritual calling. The part of fortune is our highest physical world calling. And in new moons and full moons, they become united and are the same, so that how we move through the world to our highest ability is aligned with our highest spiritual calling in the world. Isn't that pretty spectacular? Now, on new moons, they are always conjunct the ascendant of the chart, which is how we are reacting to life, how we are reacting to this new moon energy, to this entire lunation. On full moons, it's conjunct the descendant, which is another story, but we're going to talk about this here. So this quincunx with Pluto, Mars, Venus, and even Vesta this is another tense aspect. So how does this affect how we are going to move forward, interact with life underneath this umbrella of an energy, which is very much like an umbrella? It's all up top. This is something we don't understand. A quincunx is like a bend or break energy. It separates us from things. It's, we have to adjust or we have to break. It's one or the other. So there's a bend or break energy here with how we will be able to move forward. The new moon is in a semi-square with this conjunction, which is another tense energy, but it's a beneath the radar energy, one that is easier to sort of be like, I'm not going to deal with that right now. I'm going to put that on the back burner. And what ends up happening is when it's put on the back burner, it just simmers until it boils over and then burns your ass. So you can't put it on the back burner. We've got to handle things as they come. We've got to be a little bit like water and flow around corners as they come and sort of not be super attached to things right now. I am highly aware of the manipulated world that we live in. We're bombarded with so much information. It like fries the circuits to try and figure it all out. What are your thoughts on that? Before we start talking about some fixed stars and asteroids, I do want to talk a little bit about this quintile aspect that the new moon is making with the North Node, because the North Node in Taurus is where we want our focus to be. I've been talking about this for a long time. This is where we stay sane in this world that is going crazy. This is how we stay sane, by following this Taurus North Node. I made a video, 6 ways to connect with the Taurus North Node. I'll put the link below. We just need to stay sane. But this new moon is in a quintile, which is a very creative, it's an active energy, but it's creative, problem solving. And so whatever happens here in our personal lives, let's just, be like, okay, what creative, innovative ideas can I come up with to help me, my family, my world, my community manage this situation? And hopefully on the world stage, we will see that happening too. So let's talk about some fixed star astrology. This new moon is conjunct the head of Hydrus. Now, head of Hydrus is the Alpha Hydri, the brightest star in the constellation of Hydrus, the male water snake. Now, this is not the same as the more well-known Hydra constellation, which represents the female water snake. What's interesting is that Hydrus was invisible to the ancient stargazers in Arabia, and therefore we don't have any classical mythology directly associated with it. But, just before I sat down to record this video, I saw a little thing on the news saying that I think it was someone in the UK was saying that they were cutting off the snake at the neck, talking about what's happening in Europe. And I thought, isn't that interesting? Now, snakes, of course, have gotten a bad rap for a long time, but have traditionally been associated with healing and wisdom and that Plutonian 8th house regeneration, the Ouroboros, the snake eating its tail. It's in my logo. It's a sacred, ancient depiction of the eternal renewal. Water snakes in general, such as Hydrus and Hydra, do appear in many ancient legends. Tiamat, the Babylonian goddess of primordial chaos, takes the form of a terrifying sea snake. So these sea beasts, these sea serpents, they represent terrifying destructive powers, the power of the ocean, which is that Neptunian energy we're talking about, which is connected to these United States transits and this new moon. It's our fear of the unknown, our fear of what we can't see. It's very, very deep. Now, when I was talking about the ascendant of this chart being representative of how we are to react to this energy, the ascendant and the part of fortune and the part of spirit, which are all one. This is conjunct the North Star, Polaris, which gives us a tenacity, a passionate fixity of purpose. This has a destined feel. And it's the lodestar. It's that north, it's literally the north point. And this keeps us reminded that no matter what is happening, we are connected to a greater cosmos. If we were standing at the North Pole and we looked up, we would see a faint star, and then all the other stars would be just sort of circling it. So it's like this portal of connection to the greater cosmos. And whatever is happening in the world, that's a little bit of comfort, isn't it? It's a guide. The ascendant of this new moon chart is also conjunct the fixed star Betelgeuse in the Orion constellation. This is the second brightest star in Orion. Now, this star has a very potent energy. This is about the force of will, decisive action, catalyzing change, and inciting others to act. It's fervent, furious, and great potential for inner growth. But Latimus events resulting in fortuitous opportunities may occur. Tremendous success after overcoming great obstacles is possible with this energy. And isn't that kind of what we've been talking about this whole time? About this great potential at the end. I see it as many years down the end, but it's there. It's there for us, this beautiful future, regardless of how bleak things may look in this current now moment. Now, just an interesting side note about the constellation Orion. In Babylon, Orion was called the shepherd of Anu, and Anu was the powerful deity known as the Lord of Heaven. He was the ruler of all the gods, spirits, and demons. And in Syria, Orion was called Nephila. Nephila was the progenitor of the Nephilim, the race of beings referred to in the Hebrew Bible. These were described as angelic, half angel, half human, giants, and that's pretty interesting. So there is this hint of ancient history that we have forgotten, ancient origins that are no longer in our consciousness, but are still hidden in the whispers of our myths, our stories, and our DNA and our atoms. And, you know, these memories are held in the very water of our planet. Water is a programmable substance. We know that because of Emoto's work. And I like to nerd out a lot about the fact that all the water that exists now has always existed since water came into existence, because water is a non-renewable resource that cannot be created. It can only change form. So let's talk about some asteroids. This is just a little bit of a weird, coincidence. I don't know. But the new moon is conjunct the asteroid Adolphine, which is the feminine version of the German Adolf. Take that as you may. So there are two asteroids in conjunction with each other that are opposite this new moon. And these asteroids are Conscience and Psyche. Now, we all know what conscience is. It's that moral compass. Psyche is the deification of the human soul. And to have these two in conjunction, opposing this new moon, gives us the opportunity to make a choice. Oppositions often bring situations to us where we get to choose. And I really think that this is an encouragement to choose according to the conscience of our souls. We know deep down what is right. So if something comes to you and you have to make a choice, make that choice from the deepest, strongest place of integrity that you can conjure within yourself. This is what we've got to do from here on out. We've got to be beings of integrity. So, what are your thoughts? I hope this new moon is beautiful for you. It's a very deep one. And, we get to choose how much of the out there narrative we are following. Let's always remember to follow that North Node. And in Taurus, it's asking us to remain calm, to focus on self-sufficiency, to be grounded and sane in this world that is going all kinds of crazy. I love you so much. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Visit my website for readings and all sorts of other information. And I will see you soon.